In 1880, Las Vegas, New Mexico, had one of the largest Jewish populations in the Southwest. Many of the merchants who came west on the Santa Fe Trail. They became prominent and involved members of the community who established themselves and their businesses throughout northern New Mexico. And they were integrated into and accepted by the local community. And many of the original Jewish settlers of Las Vegas are buried in the Montefiore Cemetery, the first Jewish cemetery west of Mississippi, established in 1881. For many years, members of Temple Beth Shalom have helped go to Las Vegas to tidy that cemetery. And it's a wonderful connection that we have with that community, particularly also the Torah scroll that we have that is currently in our sanctuary, the oldest Torah scroll in New Mexico, which was a scroll from that community. In 1884, Congregation Montefiore, that first Jewish congregation in New Mexico territory, began a campaign to raise funds for a permanent synagogue in Las Vegas. Half of the donations came from non-members, showing how much respect local townsfolk had, how much they realized how important it was. So Congregation Montefiore was dedicated on September the 20th, 1886, in downtown Las Vegas. And in 1922, it moved 4 blocks uphill to its current location at 901 8th Street. However, due to a declining Jewish population, the building was sold in the 1950s to the Santa Fe Diocese and became the Newman Center. And the Jewish community of Las Vegas regrouped in the 1990s to include more Sephardic Jews, some of whom were conversos, and who were discovering their Jewish heritage. And now that Jewish community is coming back in Las Vegas. 70 years after having sold their building, now they have an opportunity to buy it again. The Archdiocese is declaring bankruptcy in order to try to pay off compensation for all of its abuse claims. And one of the properties that it is selling is this temple. So this is a unique, extraordinary, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help a community buy back a temple. There's actually halakha on what you can buy and sell in order to buy a temple. You can't, for example, sell a Torah scroll in order to buy a synagogue. But you can sell siddurim in order to buy a synagogue. There's a number of things that you can sell and can't sell. Why do I mention this? Because if it is in halakha, it shows, if it's in Jewish law, it shows how important it is. The Jewish community in Las Vegas is seeing this almost like redeeming the captive. This is a fascinating custom, halakha, which developed particularly during the Middle Ages, when non-Jews would capture Jews and say that they would not give them back unless a ransom were paid. And Jewish communities would always pay the ransom. Now, in modern mindset, that actually is not how we tend to think, because we tend to think that the more that you do that, the more it encourages other people to behave in such negative ways. You're basically financially rewarding them for kidnapping Jews. But in Judaism, we didn't care, because it's a Jewish life on the line. And so we would pay whatever we needed to in order to redeem that person, to save them. And the Jewish community in Las Vegas is really looking at this almost like redemption of a building, of a being in their community, in our community. And so it's not just them who are paying for this, it's all of us. And we all need to help here. The cost that they have assigned, the $200,000 that they need to raise, is not just cost to buy the property, but also to renovate it, to turn it back into a synagogue, to remove, respectfully, all the Christian iconography and the Christian markings, and to be able to return it to being a functional temple once more. Now that there is a community in Las Vegas, New Mexico, that is viable, it's essential for us, therefore, to help them reach this money. At the moment, of the 200,000, they're just over 80,000. So they are really short of the money needed. And so this pre-Shabbat message is a plea for money. And it's not a plea for money for Temple Beth Shalom. It's a plea for money for the temple in Las Vegas, New Mexico. I urge you to please go to GoFundMe.com, www.gofundme.com, and to look up Las Vegas, New Mexico Temple. To search Las Vegas, New Mexico Temple, you will find the page that says Help Las Vegas, New Mexico Reclaim its Historic Synagogue. As I said, of the $200,000 that they need to raise, they've only raised just shy of 90,000, just over 80,000. We need to help save this synagogue, and unfortunately, we have very little time to do it. In fact, the deadline is in a couple of weeks. So I ask you to please go to GoFundMe.com to look at this, to search for the Las Vegas Temple, to donate, and to share in all forms of media, to share on Facebook, to email colleagues and friends, to email people who you think this person might be able to help donate. We thankfully do not have to redeem Jewish captives anymore, but we are now able to redeem a temple, to bring it back into the Jewish community. We are able to help the Jewish community in Las Vegas be reborn after a long period of decline. What an extraordinary opportunity, what an extraordinary gift that we are being given right now to be able to help make an entire Jewish community viable again. So, no words of wisdom, of reflection, of Elul or anything like that. Today is a plea for money. Not for our community, for Las Vegas, New Mexico, to help be part of something extraordinary. You can give as little or as much as you like, as long as you turn around and try to encourage others to give as well. That, I believe, is an extremely important once-in-a-lifetime mitzvah. So thank you in advance for donating to this extremely important cause. Our Kabbalat Shabbat service this evening is the family service, so it's an earlier service. Please do make sure that you turn up earlier. It's the second Shabbat of the month, which tends to be our family service. And we also have Selichot coming up soon, and so I'll be explaining more about Selichot next week. So thank you again in advance for your donations to Temple Montefiore in Las Vegas. Thank you for coming together to help make a Jewish community viable once again. I hope to see you at our early family service this evening, and I wish you Shabbat Shalom.